Welcome to the show, Juliana. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm super happy too.
Fantastic. It's so interesting looking at your journey and seeing that you used to work as a recruiter and now you've turned career coach, but also you went through a phase where you actually decided at one point to work remotely. So I'm very curious to know, this is 8 years ago, I think. What is it that happened that made you decide to work remotely?
Yeah. The very beginning, I didn't choose to go remote. That's the story. So in 2014, 8 years ago, my company, due to some internal change, they changed the contract that I had. And from one day to the other, I was not allowed to go to the office anymore. So I had to go remote at the first point, and I was like, okay, let's try to make the most of it. And I realized that I liked it. I had two dogs at the time, so I could play with the dogs. I was living in Spain, so I was not traveling at that time. I was working from home initially, and I really liked this new reality of working remotely and all of that. For different reasons, I moved to the city where the new office was located, so I could go to the office. And I went a couple of times where I was like, I don't fit into this environment anymore. So that's when I chose actually to work from home. And then from home, I was like, okay, if I can work from home, I can work from different places, right? So I start traveling for like a week, 2 weeks, and then go back to my home base where I was living. And then at some point I realized, well, I can actually work from anywhere. So it was a process for me, but it started from my company changed their rules and I had to start working from home. And then I found my own way on the process. And I love it now. Definitely now it's a choice. Every day this is something I choose to do now.
That is so fantastic. And so, was there a clear point where you actually, for example, left any sort of fixed base to just be constantly traveling?
Yes, yes. There was October 2019. That was when a bit before COVID started. That was when I quit my 9 to 5 job. I was working as a recruiter for 15 years in different companies. In this company, I was there for 3 years. And although I was already working remotely, I couldn't travel as much as I wanted. I still had to request my boss, okay, I want to be in this place next week and all of that. So I was like, no, I don't want to ask for permission anymore to travel. So October 2019 was when I officially quit my full-time job. I gave my notice 2 months before. I prepared everything before I left. But then October 2019, I was like, okay, I don't have to work from an office anymore if I don't want. And then I started traveling and yeah, working and living from different countries. So yeah, almost 2 years already.
That's amazing. So fantastic. And what were some of the greatest challenges along the way? Because this all sounds super exciting and freeing and liberating. So I imagine there was a lot of amazing aspects. But what were
Oh,
some of the
yes.
difficult sides?
It was an extremely hard process because it always started with an idea in my mind when I realized that, okay, if I can work from home, I can also work remotely. But I was like, how to do it? How do I monetize that? How do I had a fixed income because I was working for a company as a corporate recruiter. So how do I get a stable income to be able to live the life I want? I didn't want to live like, struggling with money. That was one of the things for me. So I was like, I want to keep developing my career. I want to make money. I want to have a certain lifestyle and I want to do something that I love. So it was a lot of elements to put on the scale, but I was like, okay, I don't want to settle for less because I'm changing everything in my life, rearranging everything. So I won't go for something that I'm not happy about, that I'm not proud, that I'm not confident. So it took me actually 2 years. So it was a very long process between the moment I said, yes, I want to travel and work from anywhere to the moment I started doing that. So during those 2 years, a lot of things happened, as you can imagine. One of the key things was that I hired a life coach because I was like, I don't know how to do this alone. I was afraid. I was not confident. I knew I could do something inside me was like, yeah, you can do it. But it was hard to do it alone. And I was like, okay, I don't need to do it alone. So I hired a life coach. And it was funny because I was with her for 3 different times. So at the beginning, and then I made some progress and I was like, okay, I think I'm done. I'm fine. And then we finished the sessions and then I was back. I was like, okay, now I'm ready to quit my job. But I don't know how to do it. So we worked on how to quit my job. Then I quit the job, was like, okay, I'm fine. And then I stopped the sessions. And then a few weeks after I quit the job, I was like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do now with my time, my agenda. So I went back to her for the third time. So I asked for help in the process because it was not easy. I tried to make it as simple as possible. So in my mind, I had plenty of ideas about what can I do, working and traveling and all of that. But I chose to do something. That was a process, obviously. I was eliminating other options. But I decided to prototype the easiest thing I could do. So instead of dreaming too big and creating something very elaborated that would take longer than 2 years, I was like, okay, what can I do that I know how to do already, that I have credibility for it? I have some audience. I have, people know that I do that and that I can do remotely. So I really try to make it easier just to start, just to give that, first step towards what I wanted, because I had ideas that sounded amazing, but it was like, I'm going to take a long time to do that. I also thought about like starting something from scratch, like take a completely different turn into my career. But I was like, Juliana, you are a psychologist, you have HR background, you have been working as a recruiter for many years. Why throw all of that away and start from zero? That's going to be hard. It was still an option, but not the option I made, because I wanted to speed up the process. So I was like, okay, I'm going to prototype, I'm going to test to do something that I know already how to do, that people know that I do that. And then I decided to be a career coach, because as a recruiter, I was on the company side and I was helping companies to find the best candidates. So I know exactly what companies are looking for when they search for a candidate. And I said, okay, I'm going to change sides. I'm going to go to the candidate side, to the job seeker side, and I'm going to help them to better prepare to land their dream job. So it's kind of the same, but from a different perspective. And I brought everything that I knew, all my professional background, to the table. So yeah, but it was like ups and downs, crying, celebrating, and then crying again. Oh, another thing that was very good that I remember now was that I was still working, right, when I started the process. So I had my full-time job. I started to do some freelancer gigs to test a bit the market, to test myself as someone that was providing services in a different environment. Then I started having my own clients. So at some point I had like 3 different things going on: my full-time job, the freelancer clients, and my own clients. So I was working like 11, 12 hours per day, weekends even more. So it was like exhausting, but it was a choice that I made. So I was like, this is not the way I want to live forever, working like 11, 12 hours. I had that clear, but I understood that it was necessary to make this move that I wanted. So yeah, it was a lot of work. So yeah, people see like, oh, it's so nice. Like I'm in New York now, and people are like, oh, you're so lucky. You're traveling, your life seems amazing. It's like, well, there is a lot of hard work behind and happening right now that people don't see on social media and all of that. So it's a choice. So like every choice, there are good things about it and also not that good things about that.
Such a perfect combination with the career coaching, because you're really using your recruitment background. As you said, you know exactly what companies are looking for, and then you
Yes.
can help the candidates tap into that. And on top of this, what I also see that's really nice is the fact that you also had your career challenges when you changed and you adapted. So you also understand the fact that they might feel a bit lost and confused and struggling with all these fears and doubts, because you also had that. So together, I
Yes.
just think, yeah, you definitely found the right spot for you.
Yeah. And it was about trying, because I didn't know it at the very beginning. So when I decided I wanted to go remote, I didn't know what I was going to do. So it is a process. And that's what I talk a lot with my clients. Like, you don't need to know everything on the step zero. Like when you start the process, it always starts with, I want to go remote. I want to change my life. I want to improve my career. I'm not happy where I am. And that's enough to start. The problem that I see, and luckily I was able to, overcome that, but I see that with a lot of people, is that they think they need to have the whole picture plan, like the next 5 to 10 years. I know exactly where I want to be, and the kind of job and the company and the job title and how much money I'm going to be making. I mean, it's good to have some ideas about it, some kind of, reference. I want to go this way or that way, but it's very hard and very unlikely that you're going to be sitting and writing on your notebook and have the full picture for the next years. And then if you wait to have this full picture before you start taking action, it's going to be painful, because you also change in the process. That's the thing. So maybe you think you're going to like one thing, and then when you start doing that, it's like, you know what, I'm not that happy doing that. So it's okay to change. It's okay to start again. It's okay to make adjustment. But the sooner we start, the better, because you change on the process, things change. COVID happened last year, and a lot of people that were not planning to go remote, now they're like, I love this reality. I definitely want to keep working remote. But this was not something they were considering 2 years ago. So the sooner we start taking action, the better, because life happens, things will happen on the way. You change, the environment change, and then we make the adjustments to, yeah, to keep being happy. I love talking about being happy and enjoy what you do, because like work is work. We need to make money. We need to pay the bills. We all know that. But I think it's extremely important to enjoy what you do also.
Definitely, we totally see eye to eye on that. I couldn't agree more with the importance of happiness and enjoying what we do. Did a whole other podcast episode with Danielle on the zone of genius, and that's exactly that. Do only the stuff you love. So absolutely. Also, super interesting point that you were saying in terms of people really want to know the how. They want the entire process, the entire procedure. They want to know the how before they commit and make the decision to do it. And the thing is, it always happens the other way around. First, you commit, like you did, you committed, you decided you wanted to work remotely, then you figured it out with the life coach and reflecting and going through phases. But people want the how before they commit, and it doesn't work because you don't have all the answers until you have put in your mind that this is what you're going to do. So I think this is where a lot of people get stuck in your area and the people you help, but just in general in life, I feel this is a huge blockage because people want the exact process and procedure before they've actually fully decided and committed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And some things might work for you, but might not work for me. So every person is different. The needs that we have, the goals that we have, the way we want to spend our time. So there is not one formula. I always joke that whenever I find like the formula to land a job in like 1 week, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to be rich about it. So it's not that easy. It's not that linear, and it changes from person to person. And that's okay. I mean, we better embrace that there is not one only path, and play a bit with that, then fight with it. But I think this comes from most of societies. Like I grow up in this society that what you learn at the university, at school, what families talk about is like there is one path. Like you go to the university or you do a technical course, whatever, and then you graduate, and then you start working in something related to your area. Then you buy your apartment, you get married, you have kids, you work, you retire, you save money. It's like, this is, at least that's the environment I grew up. So this remote work thing, or having your own business was not an option. I remember that was way before COVID, maybe 2016. I remember a conversation with my father, and I was like, yeah, I want to travel more. I want to do, and he was like, no, but you travel when you have a holidays, like 1 month per year, 1 month per year. I was like, but I want to travel more and I want to still be working. He was like, but that's not possible. So in his mind, that was not possible. And in a lot of people's mind, it's not like, it's only one path that we all should follow. I think that's why so a lot of people get stuck into this. If I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next, I won't move, because there is this comfort zone of, I'm doing what I was told I was supposed to do. But then you figure out you're not really happy. Then you figure out that other people are doing different things that bring a sparkling to you, like, oh my goodness, I would love to try that. So yeah, but most of us didn't grow up in an environment that supported this. Giving it a try, be happy with what you do. It's like, you're already lucky enough to have a job in the middle of the pandemic, so you should be grateful for that. Stop dreaming about something else. So this kind of things we hear, we have to go against that. So it's not always easy.
Speaking of people being stuck, how do you help people to define their ideal sort of career or ideal lifestyle when they are totally stuck? So let's say they've committed to wanting something else, but they're not exactly sure what it is. And I'm sure nowadays this is hyper common. How do you help them? What are a couple of tools and questions that can really unlock this new vision?
Yeah. So I do have a lot of clients that come to me and say, Juliana, I am not happy with my career. I'm not happy where I am at the moment. I know I need a change. Some of them are burnout, or they are, close to feel depressed, or they are just like, I'm not happy and I don't want to stay here anymore. But then they don't know what to do next. And that's very common. And I was like, okay, you are always you are also welcome in this process because I have been there. So I know how hard it is. The first thing is start by defining the lifestyle. That's how I work. Like from the lifestyle, from the way you want to live, from the things you want to have in your life, from your goals, like short-term, long-term goals that you want. So we bring to the table the elements that are important for the person in their life, in the present and in the future. So career is a pillar, but if you don't know exactly how it looks like, let's just leave this pillar aside a little bit and talk about the other things that people know. So yeah, which kind of things they want to do. So we talk about tasks that bring them energy, that make them happy, things they have done in the past that they really enjoyed, things that they got feedback that they're really good at and other people are not good at. And this thing about being good at, it's funny because normally we don't realize that this is a quality or something, because it's like, yeah, it's so natural for me. For example, I don't know, public speaking, I do it so normal, and some people are like, oh my goodness, I freeze in front of a camera, I'm not able to do that. It's like, how come? Because whatever is so natural to you, you don't realize the power until someone tells you that. So we connect with those superpower that each of us have, things in previous jobs that brought joy, interest. So we try to put different elements on the table, always aligned with the lifestyle and the goals. And then we start checking the market, because I always say, like, if you want to be an astronaut, I mean, you can dream about it, but the chances that you're going to go to the moon are like very small. So one thing is dreaming, and the other thing is like, let's check if this is real, especially in the context that you're looking for a job. So this job, or it must exist already, or you need to be convincing enough to make the company create a job for you, which is also an option. When you create your own business, you have way more flexibility, right? Because you can invest in your own dreams and all of that. So it's all about connecting with you, the things that are important for you, the way you want to live, and then check in the market. Did anyone did something similar? Is this like a need in the market? Are companies hiring for that? And then also get closer to people who are doing that, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's like, oh, there is one guy that I found that he did exactly what I did. Go and talk to him. And then we also work on the networking skills and how to approach the person, and yeah, how to learn from others, because we don't need to be solitary in this journey. And surprisingly, a lot of people are really open to help and to share their experience. So we think like, oh, I'm struggling here, there's nobody in the world going through the same situation. It's like, no, there's a lot of people going there. So just the sense of relief that okay, it's normal to feel lost in my career from time to time. It's normal to don't know what the next step is, and it's okay as far as you start the process. So it's a lot of self knowledge, looking inside and connecting with you. But I also like to connect with the reality, because again, if you dream about being an astronaut and you're not qualified for that, it's a waste of time and energy, and you're going to get frustrated. So it's like, zoom in, what is important for you, what lifestyle you want to have, and zoom out. Is this real? How can I adjust? And sometimes it's a matter of, I need to do a course, a 2 months online course, and then I can go for what I want. So it's not that a no is a no forever. If you really want that thing that you're not qualified or you're not able to do it right now, well, let's find a way to get there. But again, it all starts with, what do you want? And then we start testing, checking, and all of that. Everything that I do, the background of my approach is related to design thinking. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but very shortly, design thinking is a strategy that designers use still, like to create a logo, to create something, but it can be applied in other areas. So the design thinking says that you don't need to know everything when you start. You can have just an idea, a feeling or something, and you start prototype, you start creating something like a minimal viable product, something small, something that you can test very fast, and then you iterate. You see if it works or not. You see how you feel in the process. You feel the feedback that you get from the environment. Then you go back, you make adjustments, you try again, or you change the way, what, I didn't like that much. So you go for the thing. So you create your path as you walk. You don't need to know everything on the beginning, and you might have one idea, but 2 weeks later this idea is completely off because you found a better idea, or because you figured out you didn't like that. So I like to be very practical, and let's start. Let's work with what you have right now, what you know, what you feel, which are the elements that are on the table, because new things will come as soon as we start move. So it's about starting. And test. Yeah, but every person is different, but it's a very rewarding process for me. It's like very pleasant to be able to help out, because I really value the people who helped me when I was very lost in my career. So it's like, okay, I want to be this kind of person for other people.
So true, so true. I totally value the work I did with my coaches, so I can totally relate with really valuing the people. Love this process of design thinking. I'm thinking I probably do this without knowing that it's called design thinking. So I'm going to
Yes.
Google it more to feel it. But it's basically, from what I understand, is you have this general concept that you're working on, and you just sort of tie things and feelings and check in and feedback and then go back to it. A bit like a feedback loop system, a bit like lean
Yeah.
working in some ways,
Yeah.
but more creative.
And you take action since the beginning. So it's not about being thinking and wondering and plan. It's very practical, because if you make mistakes, you better make them fast, because then you have time to iterate, to prototype again, and all of that. So it's not about wondering and waiting for the perfect situation. That clarity is like, let me work with what I have at the moment and let's see what happened. And then you go back, you adjust. Yeah, but it's about taking actions, because this waiting forever, like, this is not the approach I have in life in general. So it's like, let's start. That's the best way to get results. It's like, start something and then you're gonna find a way on the way.
Yes, the proactive side, as Stephen Covey says in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that being proactive, it just leads to so many results. If it's all in the head and all reflecting all the time, that blocks. You need to put it in action to actually live it and see the results. I'm
Yes.
curious as to if you could share an example maybe of a very original lifestyle that someone wanted to live or experience. Obviously, not the details, not the person, but people want so many different things out of life. So I'm very curious of very extravagant lifestyle that came up, or extravagant,
Oh,
original, maybe original.
okay. Oh, let me think. Um, yeah, I don't know. We start getting used to things, and then what I find, maybe I don't find extravagant anymore. But some people are like, wow, you are traveling and working, and you are in different countries from time to time. How cool is that? So for me, it's like, yeah, that's the life I created. So being able to work with a laptop from wherever you want, from like a any country in the world, that can be extravagant for some people, and for other people is already like, okay, that's normal. So I that's part of my reality. But like, there are people who, for example, travel with kids, the whole family travel, so it doesn't need to do a solo journey, like, oh, working remotely and travel is only for single young people. No, I'm not that young anymore, so I'm doing that. And there are people that travel as a couple with kids and all of that. So there are some other things to consider. So for example, some parents do homeschooling because they're moving from time to time, so kids don't go to formal school, so it's extra work for the parents. But it's like, it's a choice that they make, and then they create a support to do that. Yeah, I don't know, online business, some people have like 2 3 business, even more at the same time, and then they like taking risks and investing, and they are very good at delegating and managing a way that they still have time to do other things apart from having 5 business. And some people, they want more flexibility, but to be in one place. So it's not about traveling all the time, especially after COVID. A lot of people rethought this traveling thing and all of that. So it's like, I just want to have a farm far away in the middle of the woods, and that's okay for me. But I still need a kind of lifestyle that I can be away in the jungle for a long time, and that won't be a problem. So yeah, I don't know, I don't remember any super extravagant example, but it's more about what makes sense to people. It doesn't really need to be something crazy, or you don't really need to break completely with what you have at the moment and go to the opposite side. That's one option, but you can do what you do now or something similar, just with more flexibility, with more pleasure, with doing more of what you like and not doing the things you like less. So sometimes chains, they are small chains, they make a big difference. Sometimes it's one small thing that you change that it's like, wow, that brought my energy up, I'm motivated again. So it doesn't really need to be like, I'm gonna quit my job, I have been there for 20 years and I'm gonna get a backpack and travel the world. This is not doable, or this is not the dream of a lot of people. So we don't need to be that extreme to make a change that make us happy in the career. Sometimes, like, twisting something, a small adjustment, just rethinking the approach, even like changing the position within the same company or changing the tasks in the same uh, job that you have. You not even change jobs, but you're like, I'm doing more of that. I spoke to my boss and now I'm gonna, be in charge of this project. That is something that I really like. So sometimes it doesn't need to be something major to make you happy. Small adjustments can also be very effective.
This is such a great point in general also. So not just in careers, in life, sometimes it's literally about that small tweak. I'm
Yeah,
thinking recently in my own life, I was trying to be a bit more sociable and see a bit more people, and discussing this actually with my coach, and saw that actually if I had lunches every day with someone I knew, just one person, that changed my whole day, because the whole day I'm online and on Zoom. Pretty much everything is online at the moment. So just
yeah,
having a small lunch break, that and like my gym class, so two things that are offline, and I've been, so much nicer. So that's a perfect illustration of what you're saying. That's a small change, right? That's half an hour having lunch with somebody, or an hour tops, and that changes my entire day. So exactly what you're saying, these small tweaks make such a difference. I'm also
yeah.
curious, do you work mostly with people who have their own business? Because working remotely until last year was pretty much exclusively almost for business owners, or do you also work with people who are in companies, corporate?
Um, Most of my clients, they want to land a job, a remote job. So they want to be an employee, but working remotely. I have some clients that are, it's funny because I had two clients actually that they started like, okay, they hired me because they wanted to land a remote job. And on the journey, the self-discovery testing and all of that, they were like, you know what? I don't want to work for a company anymore. I want to start my own business. But that happened. There was a discovery for them in the process. So yeah, one is actually the two of them. They decided to do freelancer stuff before they create their own business. One created a business and is doing freelancer, the two things, and the other one is trying freelancer. And in the future, she wants to start her own business. So yeah, things change on the way. But I would say most of my audience, they are more interested in landing a remote job, like be an employee, but with more flexibility in an area or an industry that they are they like more. Yeah. So normally, yeah, job seekers. I would say people looking for a job to work for a company, but remotely.
Wonderful. Juliana, the time has just flown by. I can't believe it's already the end of the episode. How can people get in touch with you if they're looking to find their dream job and work remotely? What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah. So if they go to my website, they have the links to all my social media. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and all of that. But I think the easiest way is my website. So it's www.julianarabbi.com. So RABBI. And yeah, take it from there. Send me messages and connect with me and all of that. And it's like I really like talking career and this kind of thing. So it's work, but it's like it's so close to me, this topic, due to all the personal and professional things that I did, that is really like something I enjoy, talking about career and seeing others enjoying what they do, because we spend so much time working, right? It's like, wow, it's a big part of our life. We better enjoy and have fun when doing that.
Absolutely. Yes. Enjoy and have fun. So
Yeah,
important. Such a wonderful message to finish on. Thank you so much, Juliana, for being here today. Thank you so much for joining the show.
you're welcome.
Bye.